Welcome back to another edition of Survival Mode. It's time for the deep dive, and we're going to go into step number 4, talk a little bit more about it. Step number 4, what is step number 4? The importance of registration and accounts. Okay, that's what you got to do. Now, episode 13, we talked about the purpose and value of registering the accounts. We talked about plan, prepare, and position. That's what you have to do. We gave you the definitions on the show. But now let's talk about, we're in the process of formalizing the business, okay? Establishing and start the business credibility developmental process. That takes a lot of steps, a lot of time, but don't let that discourage you. You've got to take the time to do this step by step by step. You're also positioning yourself marketing wise. And I know I'm going to ask Kevin about that because I always ask him about marketing. But Michael, credibility. How important is that in this part of the step, number 4?
Okay, well, let me first say this. I really like the deep dive because it gives us the opportunity to not rush through. We can let it rip. And so when it comes to credibility, it's super important because it's centered around trust. You need the government to trust you. You need your municipality that you're involved around or involved in or operating out of to trust you. You need your customers to trust you. You need your staff to trust you. You need your suppliers to trust you. So credibility is the center point of business because it's the foundation of how you're going to be operating. Your credibility is how people are going to trust you and decide to do business with you, and or could be the deciding factor for you being approved to do business in regards to the government or the municipalities. Because if your stuff is not in order, you may not get approved or allowed to do business. So credibility is huge. It's super important.
So we take care of the credibility. Now it makes it easier for Kevin to market the situation. Am I right, Kevin?
Wait, let me add that before Kevin jump on it. Kevin, I want to say this and then you jump on it. If you do more of your credibility, it gives Kevin more content to do his job. Now, Kevin, I
Okay.
just want to throw that out there.
Okay. Thank you, Michael, because that's exactly what I was going to say. Uh,
I love you. That's why.
that no, this is what's going on. As you
We're here.
build credibility, as you go through the steps of building that credibility, getting everybody to trust you. The fact that they trust you is content all by itself. You can start dropping names when you look at the marketing. Now, we're not marketing anything yet, but we are building content. That's the whole point right now. The marketing comes later on, but for right now, you're building credibility. Now, along with building credibility, you're also networking with other business owners, with the banks, with whomever you're coming in contact with. You're networking with them too. That will also help you develop not only your credibility, but the marketing content, because your relationships with those other businesses, you can say, hey, I recommend, actually, I do this all the time. Someone comes to me for financial services. I'm like, hey, this is something you need. I don't do that, but here's somebody I know because I've networked with them and I found out I trust them. And I can recommend, and they go off to that person. And because it came from me, because my customer trusts me, they now trust that person. They do the same thing. They're like, hey, I don't do what you're looking for, but I know this guy that does. It's, Kevin Beers. And they send them off to me. And that's the way that networking works. Now, it doesn't matter what business you're in. The networking you do, people are out there who know what you do. And as long as you build that credibility up, they all trust you. And therefore, they're going to send those who, now, if it's someone who's a competitor, obviously they're not going to send somebody over to you unless they're actually looking for something they can't provide. So again, you're building the marketing content, but you're also building trust and networks.
Wow. Boy, you guys are good. Oh, I'm so proud of you guys. Okay, now, and I want to add to that. All of this information and the purpose and the value of registration and accounts. Okay, this sets the tone of how your business is going to be viewed and respected on paper. I want you to think about that. Okay, because you're not doing the paper yet. Okay, you're gathering all this information and you're networking, but it puts you in a position that when you write all this, when you have all this stuff down in writing, there's the credibility right there, all right there, and it makes it easier for marketing to do whatever it needs to do. Well, I'm sorry, the marketer to do whatever they need to do.
Yeah, let me add to that. If you go for a job interview, first of all, the first thing they see of you is your resume, which is you on paper. That's the same with your business. Basically, you're building a resume because people aren't going to know you until they meet you. But before they meet you, they're going to check out your paperwork and they're going to be looking at that and say, okay, this, based on everything I see, this is someone I want to meet. And then from that point forward, now it's on you. But that's what we're really doing. We're building a resume for your business.
All right. Now let's go ahead.
I want to add to that. I got to
go ahead, add to it.
see people, they often look at business as this huge thing that is, just so far out there. But as you heard, Kevin made it relative in regards to how he used the example about your resume. Man, all this stuff sounds, when you say business credibility and all this stuff, it sounds intimidating to some people. And I'm saying this because I know how some people starting out, what they're thinking about and how they feel. A lot of people feel inadequate because business is so considered to be so professional. And so I just wanted to throw it out there that all this stuff can be it all can be is relatable to your daily life. You see it every day. You see business every single day. You just don't know what it is or recognize it until you actually pay attention to it. And Kevin made a great gave a great example. From a consumer standpoint, you need a resume, but from a business standpoint, you need a business profile, and your credibility adds to your business profile. The more credible you are, the more people will want to do business with you. Simple.
Do you know? I'm gonna add this last part. Do you know that your everyday living is a business? Your everyday living is a business. You got credit, okay? You got income coming in, okay? You're taking care of that household, okay? You're taking care of the household. Guess
Family
what?
business.
You're already running a business, okay? But now you're trying to transfer that situation where you're making the money and not having somebody pay you the money. That's all. That's all it is. Okay. Let's not make a mountain out of a molehill. Okay.
Right.
Let's not make it. Let's not make it that big. You already run a business. Okay. Now, guess what? These steps will help you run your personal business a lot better as well. You're growing right now. You're seeing things that, oh, I should have done this. Oh, I should have done that. All right. Let's go on and talk about real briefly registration for compliance and proper positioning. Well, that right there, that's we talked about that on the air. That's your entity verification. That's important right there. You're trying to register with everybody, your business address, phone number, email address, your business domain, all of that. And why do we do that, Michael? What's the secret?
You do that for entity verification and consistency of information.
Before you do open up your accounts or anything like that, get all of that done, right?
That's correct. The more, when you get that stuff done, you don't have to change it later on. Changing things in business takes time, and more than likely may cost you money. So get it right the first time. You heard it here.
Okay, Kevin, I'm gonna ask a question, and I think you have the answer to this one.
Okay.
Okay. All businesses in the USA have to do what?
All businesses need to be compliant. And we're talking the federal, the state, the local, whether that be a county or a township or a municipality, industry and location. So the compliance can cover a lot of different areas, but you got to be compliant in every one that applies to you and your business.
Okay. And so we're going to be compliant because I don't want to get sued.
Right. Okay. So maybe we should say exactly what being compliant is. There are laws. Yeah. Basically, there are laws that you need to follow. And compliance means you're proving that you are following all those laws. There's registrations, there's business licenses, there might be industry standards that need to be upheld. There's all kinds of areas. Like if you're a doctor, the AMA puts a lot of regulation on you. The FDA, the CDC, there's a lot of stuff coming at you as a doctor that you have to be compliant with. Now, if you're opening up a trucking business, probably the Department of Transportation's got a bunch of stuff coming down.
Oh, a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Bunch of stuff.
But we got the U.S. Department of Transportation and we have the state Department of Transportation. And then you got your local laws, just the traffic laws themselves. I mean, there's a lot of things going on there. You got to be licensed to drive. You got to have a special license, things like that. So compliance is really about just following the law. So you're going to have to be up on those laws. Whatever industry you're getting into, make the phone calls to the authorities. They will tell you exactly what you need to do.
That's a lot of work, Kevin.
Yes, it is. And if you want to open a business, you'll do it.
Oh, that's just simple. It just made it simple. Sometimes you're just so direct.
Yeah, it gets me in trouble sometimes too.
Okay. Gets you in trouble.
All right. Now let's
Bert, I just want to add before you move forward. As simple as this, you have to play the game by the rules in order to win it. So being compliant simply means that you're playing the games by the rules that have already been established. So play the game by the rules and play it well. Win righteously. Okay, I just want to throw that up there.
Ooh, oh my. Way to go. All right. Moving forward to episode 15 of step number 4, standard business registration and accounts. Now, we talked a lot about that. But you know what we really didn't get into? We talked about the financial accounts. We talked about visibility and credibility. But we didn't get into the aspect about structural, supportive, marketing position accounts. You know, the websites, the social media, the online advertising accounts. We didn't go into all of that. Now, how huge, Kevin, is the website?
Well, depending on your industry, the website can be everything. So, for instance, Survival Mode's got a website. Why do we have that? So people can go to it to get content they can't get on the radio. Where else are we going to put it? We could do YouTube videos, which is actually what we are doing, but you have to go to YouTube, then you have to find them. The website helps organize all that. If you are an online store, your website actually is everything. There's nothing else. I know some of the social media platforms are trying to do online stores, but again, every social media platform has limitations when it comes to who the audience is. If you're marketing to older folks, Facebook. If you're marketing to younger folks,
right,
TikTok, Instagram. There's all these different platforms. Now you can be on every platform, but do you really want to maintain a store on every platform? The website is a central location. Then you can market on those platforms, all bringing them to the same place. The most difficult piece is going to be the website. And I don't mean it's going to be difficult the way that might have sounded, but if you have to maintain 6 different social media platforms with stores on them, doing it all in one place is far easier than trying to maintain it in a bunch of different places.
Right.
The marketing, well, for instance, if you're marketing a product that is only for older people, the Facebook is a really good way to go. And Google, usually Google is always a good place. But you can limit. You don't have to be on Instagram and TikTok. Not if you're trying to reach older folks. Now, if you're trying to reach younger ones, Facebook might work, but some of the other platforms might be better. But the website itself can be your central hub for everything. It's really important. Now, there are some industries where that's not required, but I would say there's far less of those than there are those that require a website.
Okay.
I want to add to that too.
Go ahead.
Think about your website as being similar to your resume. You see, your website can encompass everything about you versus platforms giving you bits and pieces. So, like Kevin mentioned, it's the central location. This is the place where you're completely organized. You're the totality of who you are can be understood on your website. No other thing, platform, profile, or whatever can gather and host and hold all your information like your website. So you need to look at your website like your house or your office online. And
Okay.
upon doing that, it really can centralize and organize your information and people's access to you.
I like that. I like that. But you know what? I there's a part about that we didn't talk about on the show, with the business registration. You need to get registered with the Better Business Bureau. You need to get registered. It's not necessarily registration, but with the Chamber of Commerce. Okay. Get in with some different associations and special interest groups. And depending on your industry, get registered with your industry. Okay. This helps the community and because the community will see you more and more. Some businesses don't get involved with that. But do you know what? If you get involved with the Chamber of Commerce and the BBB, what happens? People are looking at it. They want to find out if you're credible. If you're credible. So go to those places, go to the library, find out that information. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I wanted to add, and I know Kevin wanted to add something too. You go to the chamber, you go to the Better Business Bureau, not because it's a requirement, but you want to leverage their credibility. People trust them. People trust what they have to say. When your business is, I joined the chamber and I got like executive and corporate. I think I spent like $6,000 one year just for a chamber membership that I didn't use for other things. But I knew the credibility associated with the actual registration and or the membership with the chamber would net me in positive returns because most businesses on my level wasn't doing it. You see, so I leveraged their credibility, and it led me to actually having a meeting with the president. It led me to some great things. I'll put it that way. So you're utilizing those registrations, those accounts, those memberships to simply leverage credibility.
Okay, what I wanted to add in there was you want to establish these accounts now. So once you establish your legal identity, then you start going on all these things. For one reason why, like you get your Google account, you get if you're going to have a Facebook page, you want to get that up and running. You need to get all those things going now because the way the algorithms work, it takes time to work you into the entire system. The sooner you start, the sooner you can get recognized. And when you start adding content in there, and actually, when I said, I think in the show, what I said was, we're not marketing yet. Well, actually, we might be marketing as soon as we get these accounts set up. We're not marketing with using money. We're just marketing organic content, meaning we don't pay for it. It's all free, but that content will start showing up in the mix. And the different platforms will start recognizing, oh, this business is putting out content. We're going to pay a little attention to that now. And along the way, by the time you open your doors, all the platforms know that you exist. So when you're putting content out there, you already have some traction.
And I want to add to what Kevin is saying. I'm gonna summarize that by saying this: it's called market positioning. So you are technically always marketing. You're not marketing a product or a service, but you are marketing the positioning of your business and your brand. So when it's time to launch, the general public has that much access that it's that much easier for them to see you. And as Kevin mentioned, it takes time. And Bert, when you mentioned registering and becoming members with the chamber and the Better Business Bureau and industry, um, there may be some relationships that you may need that you don't know yet, but you will find out when you join more credible organizations. Because, for instance, let's say you want to do a store and you need a contractor that does specialty work. Well, guess what? That contractor, if he or she is that good, guess what? They probably have already registered with the Chamber of Commerce. And when you
Yes.
go to the chamber, say, "Oh, you need this done," go talk to Bert or go talk to Kevin. These guys, those are kind of guys that will take care of that for you. Sure, we'll take care of you. And so you get involved as much as possible. It helps with your credibility, but it really increases your market positioning.
Okay, and one more thing.
Let's go. That's a deep dive.
You are an expert in the area where your business is operating. Blog articles. Your website can be a location for blogs.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That information, educational pieces that you write in a blog, that goes really, really far with Google. If someone's searching for what you're talking about in those articles, that brings them to your website. Once they get to your website, then they start looking around like, oh, what is this website? I'm learning things. And all of a sudden now they're finding what your website is all about. And that's a lot of market reach right there. And do that from this, as soon as you open up, as soon as you got your website on the air, if you're like I said, if you're an expert in your area that your business is operating in, start writing educational pieces, because that will go a really long way for bringing in clients.
Well, this is a lot of information. Hey, this is a deep dive. Okay, now let's go to episode 16. Now, we talked about manage, maintain, and measure progress. We talked about, guess what? We talked about only 2 of those on the air. We need to go into it a little bit more. Now, the person who does this, and I'm not going to ask him a direct question, but the person who does this all the time, he gathers data. And with that data, you can do so many things with that data. Remember, your vision, you're creating content. Well, guess what? That's that data. Kevin, if I might ask, what do you do with that data?
You survive and then you thrive. That is exactly what this show is all about. That data is the lifeblood of your business. Every decision you make is based on some kind of data, whether it just be a conversation you had with somebody, whether it be data that you collected on a digital platform, whatever it might be. One of the things that we do on the show, in the very first episode of every show, is we have a little news item. We call it news you might be able to use. That's usually about trends that are going on in the marketplace. Those trends can bring you so much money if you can latch into them or grab a hold of them and use them in your business. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about when we talk about measuring progress and we talk about data, measuring progress is keeping track of everything you're doing. I saw an advertisement just yesterday for an app that apparently it's got a list of all these different habits. and they're habits that you want to have. And what you do is, let's say it's just drinking water. I want to drink a certain amount of water every day. At the end of the day, you check off, I drank that much water or I didn't. And it will chart your progress. Now, that's a really simple example of tracking progress. But our data is going to show that. Actually, I use that all the time. If I'm doing a sales campaign in marketing, I'm looking at what kind of engagement am I getting? What kind of reach am I getting? What's the cost of every click? Whatever the metric might be. But one thing I'm really looking for, what is happening in sales? Are sales going up? Are they flat? Are they going down? If I might have a ton of reach, I might have a really low cost of clicks. There's a lot of things I might have, but if my sales are going down, all of that other stuff, I'm doing. Now, maybe what's happening is my ads are great and they're clicking great, but when they get to the landing page is losing them. I mean, that's what your data is going to show you. Like, yeah, I'm getting lots of clicks, but when they get to the website, they just click away. Well, that tells me that the web page is no good. So I got to do something with it. And just watching that data, maybe I only have to tweak it. Your data is going to tell you that too. Now that's looking from the marketing perspective. When we look tracking progress, we're not at the marketing stage yet. So now we're looking at tracking your progress. Are you, for instance, if you put all these items on a checklist to get done, are you checking them off? Or is it taking forever for you to do it? Now, if you're working a full-time job, it's going to take longer to check them off, obviously. Or if you're tied up with government paperwork, that can take a long time too. But checking them off, keeping notes, whatever you need to do to track your progress, to make sure you're moving forward. That's, that was the piece that I felt we were really missing talking about. I know I didn't get into all the technical stuff. Michael, I'm sure you got tons more you can throw on top of that.
Absolutely. Thank you. You just know me so well. So what I wanted to add to what he was saying is the softwares that we're talking about, for instance, your accounting software. Yes, you're not uh, processing revenues and money right now, but guess what? When you do, you need to have the software in place so that you can track and measure the progress. You need management software based upon your industry and your business. Why? Because you need to track your actions. You need to track your protocols. You need to track employees. So when it comes to managing, maintaining, and measuring your progress, you want to leverage as much as possible. And in today's society, technology is the key. Technology is how you can have that consistency you need. So utilize and leverage softwares, apps, platforms, cloud software, whatever you can, you're going to need these things eventually. So that's why it's so important to get these things established now. You need to track your money. You need to see them, like Kevin mentioned, sales. You need to see all the stuff. You need to track your marketing. You need to have their softwares in place to track almost everything in today's society because people understand that you need data. You need information to progress. If you didn't have books in the past, you wouldn't learn to prepare for the future. We just changed the dynamics, but it's still the same principles. You learn and you leverage, and that helps establish and promotes progress.
Okay,
So
I
I just
got
want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I again, I'm going to jump on what you just said. Now, this is just a hint that I found very helpful. If you're using a piece of software, and let's say it does everything you need it to do except for one thing, call the company up, talk to their support, and say, "Hey, I need it to do this one thing." And they might say, "You know what? We have an add-on that will do that for you." Or maybe it does do it. You just didn't find the instructions on how to do it. Don't give up on a piece of software just because it's missing a feature or so. Call the company before you give up. If they come back and say it's not going to do that, it's never going to do that, or we'll put a suggestion in, it's not going to happen if that's the case. Just so you know, I worked the software industry. A suggestion never actually gets implemented. A demand does, but never a suggestion. But the point I'm trying to make is I had some software. It didn't do or I thought it didn't do what I needed it to do. But when I called them up, they said, oh, well, we just have to actually just check a box and now it will do it. It was that simple. Actually, it was a piece of, to take online payments. I needed it to do international. I couldn't find out how to do it. I couldn't find it anywhere. They said, oh, we have to click that on our side. But if I had never called them, I would have never known. I would have been looking for a new piece of software. Right. All I needed to do was call them up and they helped me handle it.
Yeah, that is so huge because oftentimes what you're doing may not be standard. You see, so what you were requesting wasn't the typical business request. So yes, listen, I have done that. So I have done that. I can name so many apps. And guess what? Leverage them. They get paid. You are paying them. Even if it's a free trial, these people want your business. Why figure out something that can be told or you can get assistance with? Leverage. As an entrepreneur, your job, your mindset, your goal, your objective is to leverage. Why do you have employees? To leverage labor. So everything is about software to leverage accountability, leverage organization, everything about entrepreneurship and business is about leveraging. So leverage properly and leverage and leverage and leverage.
Now, I'm going to end it with this. We said it on the air, but I'm going to say it again. The management and maintenance of the organizational structure will guarantee business credit development. All these things that we're talking about is going to help develop your business credit-wise. Okay. You got to get in touch with us to learn more about that. Okay. You got to get in touch with us to learn more about that. So what we're trying to do is make sure that you know exactly what you need to do in your business. Okay. So that's it for the deep dive. We'll be back again with a lot more. I promise you. Kevin, you promise?
Absolutely.
Michael, you promise?
I only promise if you say deep dive the right way.
All right. Survival mode and the deep dive.
Booyah.
All right.
Okay, now that you've watched the deep dive, you might still have some questions. You can get a hold of us by emailing us at hello@survivalmode.live.